Some blocks in Minecraft are meant to be impossible to obtain, and bedrock is one of them. Impossible to break, impossible to obtain, and definitely impossible to make a farm for. Well, breaking it is easy, but obtaining and farming it is ridiculously complicated. But not too complicated for me, because I put weeks of preparation and research into this video, and to pull this off I must successfully complete 3 phases. Firstly, build a bedrock factory so that I have somewhere to put all of the bedrock that I get. Then I must downgrade my world to 1.12 without corrupting or deleting chunks. Last time I did this, I completely broke my spawn area and lost a load of precious items. But this time, I've come up with new tricks and methods to stop that from happening. And then phase 3, build a farm that allows me to obtain bedrock over and over and over again. I'm not going to use a snapshot because those are just buggy messes that are not official releases. Although before all that, to get loads of bedrock, I need loads of feathers. I'll explain why later. So for that, I'm going to have to build a chicken farm. Here's all the items that I'm going to need, as well as a whole lot of chicken eggs. Thankfully, I spent a long time forcing all of these guys to lay eggs for me. Look at that, I nearly got 5 stacks straight away. And there's loads and loads and loads more in this chest right here. I mean, look at them all. Yeah, eggs are definitely something that I probably have too many of. Also, there is still some of my 7,000 days posters for sale. They're on sp737.store, and I have signed every single one. So this is the spot that I'm going to build it, and the plan is whilst I'm building the bedrock factory, this will be running in the background. You see, multitasking and efficiency, that's what it's all about. It's actually such a simple farm to build. Basically, it's going to be throwing out eggs that become chickens. The baby chickens won't be able to reach lava, but when they grow to adults, they'll burn, and I'll get cooked chicken and lots of feathers. So I'm just going to encase in where the chickens are going to go. And the final wall of them is not going to be glass. Instead, it's going to be trapdoors flipped up. Observers will detect when there's items in the hoppers. Next, I'm going to get my chickens in that are actually going to do the egg laying. So loads of them in here. Hopefully, I brought enough eggs for all this, because I want 24 in each slot, which is the maximum before entity cramming takes over. Okay, I ran out of eggs. They're still not entity cramming. Somehow to escape. Yeah, you guys could just enjoy life. 3 of you? All right, I have no idea. Anyway, I'm just going to head back home and grab loads and loads and loads and loads more eggs. Alright, chickens, prepare to be overrun. At this point, new ones are starting to die, so I'll just start putting loads into this slot as well. And it looks like there's enough in here as well, because they're starting to die too. And now I must patiently wait for them all to grow up. This is going to take about 20 minutes. Looks like every single one has grown. I think we had a few casualties in the process from entity cramming, but it's not the end of the world. We're going to put these observers in, remove the dirt, and place redstone on top of the dispensers. And it's pretty much done. I just need to add a little bit of lava, and basically every time a chicken lays an egg, it will send a signal to here, which will dispense the egg and summon lava so that if there's an adult chicken, it will die. If it's a baby chicken, it'll be fine. So because that's in spawn chunks, I can leave that running to get me loads and loads of feathers. And in the meantime, I can begin phase 1, which is to build the bedrock factory. It's going to take quite a lot of materials to build it, so I'm going to get busy gathering them all up. Once I have crafted this loom, I will have every single item for this project. My goodness, that took a long time. And whilst I was gathering up all of those items, my chicken farm will have been running in the background. So far, nearly 3 stacks of feathers. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but that's because eggs don't get laid that often, and not every egg is going to hatch to be a chick. And on top of that, it takes 20 minutes for a chick to grow up. Now, to build the bedrock factory, I'd actually like to expand in this direction. With all those buildings over there, I think it'd be cool to have some sort of factory district, maybe with more in the future. And so I'm going to put the very first one here, which means mining up quite a bit of this terrain. And that is that. It is now done. The factory is going to go right here. And before I continue, I need to repair this shovel, because I really don't want it to break. As you probably gathered, it takes a lot of materials to build, but to start with, I'm going to get some mud bricks and also light grey wool, plus a load of gravel, so that I can get started on the bottom outline. So this is the general shape so far, and this will have to go all the way around. And there we have it. The entire outer edge is done. Parts of the walls are going to be dirt, but it's all becoming grass blocks, so I'd better hurry up and build the layer on top of it. Although before that, we're going to have a bit of a checkerboard pattern for the floor. It's going to involve gravel and light grey wool. And this pattern is going to more or less cover the entire floor. And with that being placed down, it's starting to look a little bit more like a factory floor, but there's going to be a section that's got a different floor there and also a different floor there. And those items are iron blocks, red concrete, light grey concrete, stone brick stairs, and then finally a warning line kind of thing that alternates between black and yellow. I think it's starting to look pretty good. There'll be all sorts of machines over here, and there's going to be the same kind of thing over on this side. Perfect, and now with that all sorted, I can start expanding the walls upwards. I've reached the height of the walls where I'm doing the windows now, and I'm using scaffolding for that to give it that industrial feel, as I really want this to have a proper factory feel to it. Just a little progress update with how I'm getting on. It is now really starting to look like a factory from the inside. I'm liking it. The front and the sides are getting there too. They'll look better and better as these walls go up. But yeah, this inside really has that warehousey feel. And I feel like building up these walls is quite repetitive and not that interesting, which is why I'm not showing you much of it. Instead, I'll be adding all the contraptions on the inside that'll be the coolest bit. And so I'll continue building this up until the entire exterior is done. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a job well done. I might end up removing all the snow because it's a bit patchy, but we'll have to see. All I can say is right now, it's looking pretty good. And so now work can begin on the interior. I should probably start by getting rid of all this snow. I wish it had snowed after I built the roof. It's going to be very in line with the gravel, but it must be done because I can't really have a factory that's just full of snow. Got quite a good technique because I know which one's gravel and which one's wool. I can go fast on the wool and slow when there's gravel. I've realized it's just going to be way quicker if I go ahead and place buckets and do it that way. Yeah, I don't know why I was manually mining up every single one, because this is 10 times faster. Mission accomplished. I took all the snow in here to go back to the storage. And first things first, in both this position and that position, there's going to be beacons, and the plan is for the beacon to look like a bit of a laser, a red one going into the bedrock. But the bedrock is going to go here like so, and because beacon beams go through bedrock, it'll look really, really good. I just can't quite build it yet because obviously I haven't got bedrock, you know, that's kind of important. But once I have it, I will sort it. In the meantime, I can add the cage that's going to go around this because it's going to look like a chamber that's sealed off with glass. That's the foundation, and I'm going to build it up quite a bit. Before I add the iron block roof, I'm just constructing the laser, so it's going to kind of build outwards like, not like that. Although from down here, you can kind of see how it's looking. It's not looking very good. Hold on a second. Well, let's try and fly our way up. And yeah, from there, we're going to have blocks like this. So it's a bit more of a, I want to say triangle, but that's not quite right. More like a cone shape. Oh, no, you know what? I'm getting this all wrong. Basically like that. And then over the top, I can add my iron blocks. That's that looking pretty good. And as a final touch, I'm going to add walls around the outside, then string in between with carpet on top. That's nicely done. It looks a little bit strange because there's no bedrock, but I'm just going to build the exact same thing over here. So in 3, 2, 1, and there we go. Also had a bit of decoration on the floor in the middle, so let's just kind of have redstone torches going up in a bit of a staircase like so. I do want one more here, but I'm worried that I can't quite reach the top. It's alright, we can build up and place that. Kind of looks like something you'd see in a factory. Anyway, something else that I want to do is to add a load of staircases around the thing. So I'm thinking for this, we do something like this, and it just keeps working its way up with iron bars like so. So you've got this kind of cool effect of a staircase with sides. That's a bottom layer done, and I'm also going to keep building it up like this. And now I'll add staircases on this side just for a bit of symmetry for over there that can also connect to this balcony. And from there, I can have 3 more staircases going up. And then over on this side, I'd like to add a staircase down there and a staircase down here to connect both sides. This side's looking good, and so is this one. Next, I want a crisscross of beams just to connect everything up, with lanterns hanging off the middle for decoration. Next, I'd like to tackle the bedrock waterfall. I feel like everybody who makes a factory does one of these, and I'm no exception. They just look very cool, and they're a very fun way to show off all your items. And the redstone is pretty simple to do too. So items are going to get pushed along the blue ice until they get to right here, and then they will go in a water elevator. This is going to have glass walls on all of the sides, and I can completely fill them to the top with water using kelp. Just one second, I need a little bit more water, just so that I can have these bits to flow the items through. Next, I can build the honey all the way up. Next, I need to be able to transfer a redstone signal upwards so that I can turn the machine on and off. So I'm going to use torches to do that, just alternating upwards to the top. So I've got to kind of build up with dirt, place it, then add torches, and do that all the way up. Now, at this point, the redstone's pretty straightforward. It involves droppers with target blocks in between. Then I need more water to fill up this area because that is what is going to make the items flow into the honey. The redstone's easy enough, but anytime there's something in the dropper, it will set off this comparator and create a pulse to dispense it all. It's currently switched off because of the redstone torch at the bottom, but if I start running redstone from down here underground, I can connect it all up, and when I flip this lever, it will technically turn the machine on. For now, I'm going to have it switched off, just whilst I add the item collection system. This hopper minecart will split the items between the 2 droppers, and this extra water will send it into the system. Now I can turn on the machine, drop some items down here, and watch them all flow downwards. Yes, it looks pretty cool. And here you can see how they get distributed out. Now I'll turn it off and go up here to grab my items because I will need them to build the rest of the factory. I was all just temporary until I have the bedrock to fill the machine. Speaking of machines, I'd like to build a cool conveyor belt system that goes right the way through the middle. It would be transporting TNT, since that's kind of one of the things you can use to break bedrock usually if you use a piston with it. And the bottom of the conveyor belt is going to be iron trapdoors with carpets on top. That's the general look of it. And then we could have a little processing section right here that's going to be built up to look like that. Then at the end of this, I'll have some containers with TNT in them. And over here, some sort of chest storage area. I'm also adding another decorational machine here that looks like it's processing more items. And I'll make another one of those over here that looks slightly different, but still very nice indeed. It'd be nice to have a little computer here that's attached to the lever that turns the bedrock on and off. Fantastic, the place is really starting to come together. And I'd just like to fill up this space on the ground, maybe with a couple of forklifts. That's one done, and also a second. I have to say, it is really starting to look like a good factory. There's a few things I've still got to do up here, such as add in an iron bar guardrail, and finally, a bedrock item art on the front. There we go. For some reason, I'm missing one block. I obviously can't count. But with that in, the bedrock's finished. I think it looks pretty good. And with that, phase 1 is now complete, which means we can move on to the second phase, the world downgrade. This is where I have to try and not break my world. So before I can change my world version to 1.12, I need to grab every single item I need for the bedrock farm. That means first heading to spawn and seeing just how many feathers I've got from the chicken farm. Okay. More than enough. To go with the feathers, I'm also going to need a whole lot of ink sacks, which I can obtain at the squid farm. That should be long enough. I only want 6 stacks, and I got way more. Along with those, I want 6 stacks of books, and all of those will be perfect for chunk safe stating, which I will explain later. I also need enough iron to craft 96 hopper minecarts, as well as the hoppers to go with them. It also requires many other items. I'm not going to go through every single one, but TNT is a big one, which I don't currently have enough of. I need about another 10 stacks, but I've got the sand, I've got the gunpowder, and that means I'll have the TNT. And from there, there's loads of redstone components, there's loads of blocks, so I shall gather up them all. The mission has been accomplished and almost everything that I need is now in here, except ender pearls. I need 1 ender pearl for every piece of bedrock that I'm going to get. So I've just got loads and loads of shulker boxes ready to fill. The enderman farm is definitely the best place to get them, because these chests are just completely full. Everything's been transferred, and when I downgrade to 1.12, every single netherite item that I have will get deleted. That includes my armor, and anything netherite in the ender chest. So I'm going to do quite a bit of sorting to make sure no items I'm going to lose are brought. And I have plenty of stuff such as food, totems, and firework rockets. And this could be awkward. Last episode, I used up every single diamond that I have to make all of these smithing templates. So I'm going to head down to my diamond tunnel bore to mine up a load more of them. And with these 37, I can make diamond armor and tools with various upgrades on them. I've just used loads of levels up on upgrades, only to realize that when you downgrade to 1.12 or below, all enchants get removed. And a lot of items that I'm using to build the farm that I have in a test world also get deleted when you downgrade your game. So I'm instead going to change a bunch of items that I'll be using for the farm to ones that don't disappear. There we go. That took quite some time. And ink sacks also get deleted. So I need to craft book and quills and then paste a load of complex random characters in so that the book takes up lots of memory. Then I can name it and sign it, make a second one with more random pages that are different from the first book, and duplicate these in the crafting table using more book and quills. I'll explain why on earth I have these later, but now I am almost ready to downgrade my world. I'll swap out my tools and my armor. And if I just downgrade right now, no matter where I am in the world or what dimension I'm in, the spawn chunks will be loaded and overwritten with chunks generated in 1.12. So to avoid that, I'm going to go into the world save folder, then the region folder, and I'll select these 4 files. Then I right click, properties, and make them read only. But I am going to cancel it for now because I'm not quite ready to do the downgrade. But those 4 files hold the data for the spawn chunks, and making them read only will stop them from getting overwritten. The bedrock farm has to be built in the end, but if I create a test world, go to the end and TP to 2000 and save and quit, then when I load the same world in 1.12, it puts me at 2000 in the overworld. So I need to get to the end and corrupt as few chunks as possible. The way I'll do do that is to fly to some very specific coordinates, because when you download a world, it also changes the seed to 0 on that version. So that allows me to know where the stronghold and different biomes will be. So I'll stand right here and wait for it to become day. There we go. Now I can save and quit, make the spawn regions read only, and load the world in 1.12. This will load me into a jungle biome with all of my items. And this is where I can get all the needed oak wood, cocoa beans, and jungle wood. Because all of those items get deleted when you downgrade, so I couldn't bring them with me from 1.20. Slime blocks are another one that get deleted, but slime balls don't. Oh, look at that, I collapsed. So the good news is I can now condense down my storage by turning all of these into blocks. And that is every single one crafted. And so now I'll just get to work collecting more wood. And you also notice that I've set the game to render distance 2. That's just so I overwrite as few chunks as possible. And it probably goes without saying, but the methods that I'm going to use for this bedrock farm only work up to version 1.12. In versions after that, it's all patched, which is why I had to downgrade. But anyway, I now need to go to the end. Firework rockets get deleted when you downgrade, which is why I'm crafting a load more of them. And because the downgrade has made the seed 0, I know exactly where the end portal is. I'll grab some extra oak logs on the way and dig straight down right here. This will land me straight into the portal room. And you'd now think I can just take some Eyes of Ender, activate the portal, and head on through. But I can't, because doing that would take me to the main end island and delete my entire end hub, resetting the chunks. So I'm going to use a clever trick where you place a piston underneath and a button, and then watch what happens when I get pushed through the end. Yes, it doesn't take me to the main end island. Instead, this glitch puts me at the same coordinates in the end as I was at in the overworld. And doing that has saved my build at the main end island. Now, with all of that done, that is Operation Downgrade complete. Which means it's now time for the good bit, which is building the bedrock farm and obtaining the bedrock. And to do that, I'm going to fly to a very specific location. I know I am overwriting a lot of chunks, but it's the end. It's far away in the end. I don't care too much. And another mechanic that we're going to need to understand to build this farm is called chunk save stating. And that's why we needed all of these books. You see, each book, because it's got so many characters in it, takes up a load of memory. And if the data you put in a chunk is larger than 1 megabyte, then the chunk cannot save. Also, this was fixed in 1.16. So I'll just show you in a test world. If we place these books in the shulker box like this in an alternating pattern, so one type of book is there and one type of book is here, Minecraft will try to compress all of this data, but if you have a couple of them down, it can't compress the data enough, so it can't save the chunk. And this is the same concept as if you had a red image. The file size is 8.81 kilobytes. But if you have a checkered image, it can't be compressed as much, meaning it's bigger, and this one is 9.46 kilobytes. So basically, with me placing 2 of these in a chunk, there's a lot of data there, and Minecraft cannot save it. So I can just do loads of stuff to the chunk, I can place loads and loads of diamonds, blow up a big hole, whatever, and I'll put an emerald arrow right here so you know which chunk it was. Then I just fly away, which unloads the chunk, and when I fly back, you can see the emerald arrow is still there. The bit that got blown up outside the chunk is still there, but this chunk has reset back to how it was. And the reason is because Minecraft couldn't save it because there was just too much data. And I hope that made sense, because that is a fundamental part of the bedrock farm. You see, you can use chunk save stating to manipulate the spawning of end gateways and actually make it try and spawn another one when you've already got one here. How on earth does that work? Well, let me explain. I'm also now at the correct X coordinate, which means I'll have to start going north to get to the position for the farm. But first, let me teach you how this works. And I hope you now understand why this video took me so long to make, because yeah, I had to learn a lot of complicated stuff. And so this is the explanation of chunk population. When you load a chunk for the first time at the edge of your render distance, you generate it. Then as you move closer, the chunks next to it also generate. And once you get even closer, 4 chunks in a square will have generated next to each other. And at that point, Minecraft populates the chunk by adding porous fruit and sometimes end gateways. And if I go ahead and save state the chunk that caused these 4 chunks to populate, Minecraft will not realize that these 4 chunks are populated, and next time I unload and reload them, it'll try and spawn another end gateway. That end gateway might be above, or depending on the chunk you save state and the angle you come at the second time, it could be in a completely different position in another chunk. I hope that makes sense. I know it's a bit complicated, but I wanted to at least try and give you guys an explanation. That's pretty much all the theory that you need to know so far. Now I can go and build the farm. Thought I'd take a bit of a break after all that explaining. But yeah, this is phase 3, build the bedrock farm. And before I do that, I need to create my shulker box save states. So I'll get all of the books placed down. And further down the line, I'm also going to need silk touch. So I shall grab these, place it all down, and see what I can get. Took quite a few attempts, but I've got it. And I've got all those books. I am going to swap my Electra for a brand new pair because those have nearly broken. And if I take an anvil, I can also put Unbreaking 2 on it. And I might as well upgrade my boots too. And with that, I'm ready to head north to where the end gateway is that I'll be building the farm. There it is up ahead, you can see the beam, and I need to save state the chunk that is just behind it. Now the next time I unload and load these chunks, it'll try and spawn another end gateway, but because of the position I'll be at, it'll spawn it in this chunk. So that's how I'm going to do the farm. I'm going to get rid of all these empty shulker boxes, and then I'll bump up the render distance so that I don't accidentally unload this chunk. And I'm first going to build the platform that the player's going to stand on, which will launch the ender pearl towards the end gateway over there. This right here is the spot, and the platform is going to be at this height. It's quite a long platform because when you're using the farm at render distance 12, you'll need to unload the save stated chunks, which means wandering all the way down here. I'm also putting sea lanterns down to spawn proof it. And now I'm going to build the mechanism that will launch my ender pearl all the way over there. The mechanism is starting to take shape. Right here, there's going to be a boat. If I can just place it down, there we go. And if I back it up, it's going to be up against this wall and the glass. And then there's going to be another wall right there. All looks correctly aligned to me. And so I can continue building upwards. There's still a bit more redstone to be added to make it properly work, but there's going to be a long trail of stone in this direction that has sticky pistons and slime blocks on it that will push the ender pearl along. And there you have it. The ender pearl cannon is complete. This piston and slime right here will connect up to the big lag machine. I'll be building that later because right now I'd like to test it out. And of course it can't be tested out until I've built the platform for the ender pearl to land on. And with that done, I can now test out the ender pearl transporter. So I throw this here and I land all the way onto this platform. That's perfect. And now I can extend this slime connector all the way up here. Then along sideways and upwards. And this will go into a massive machine that creates lots of TNT to make a big lag spike. But I'm not going to build that just yet. First, I'm going to finish this area here. On this dirt block, there's going to be a piece of grass, and I can break that to update this chunk to load it during the lag spike. You'll understand what I mean when you see the farm in action. And down here, I'm going to build a renewable way to save state the chunks and reset the farm so that it's reusable. Because it would just take up way too many blocks if I had to place shulker boxes like this every time. So that is the machine, but how does it work? Well, this is my testing world, and I wanted to make a renewable save state machine. Because these books are in stacks, Minecraft can save them, and because the hoppers are powered, they can't take out the items. But if I push this button, all the items are equally going to each hopper, and now because they're split up into different stacks and single items, Minecraft cannot save this chunk. I can do what I want here, fly far, far away, and when I return, the blocks are gone and the books are back in the minecart hoppers. So yeah, that was attempt 1. Then I refined into this system. Basically right here, there are 16 empty hopper minecarts in one spot. So I just place them all like this, and there are 16 of each book in this chest. I push the button, it puts the hopper minecarts underneath, and they all split evenly into all the hopper minecarts. Each hopper minecart has 2 books. If I break that, you can see the one underneath does. If I grab them, the one underneath does, etc, etc. And I can place loads of blocks, fly away, and the chunk is reset. So then I wanted to create a design that will save state this chunk and this chunk. This was the first one, which it worked okay. Basically, the items will fill up and then they get pushed here. But the hopper minecarts are a little bit crazy. This chunk is save stated now, and this chunk. But you can see if I kind of just push them around, they go a little bit crazy. I didn't like that method. So in the end, I created this. If I push this button, this chunk I'm in will get save stated, so I'll be able to reuse it anytime. This chunk will also get save stated, so everything will go back to normal. And then this chunk here can get save stated because these hopper minecarts that are right there will get pushed into this chunk. So what that will mean is I can push this button, this chunk is save stated, this chunk is save stated, and this one is now save stated. I can do what I want in all 3 of them, and if I fly away, all the chunks are reset. Also, if you want to see what the design is for pushing it twice, basically these blocks get pushed, these pistons extend twice, and blocks get pushed, so that's how they get pushed 2 blocks. And now back to the world, where I'm next going to create a system that automatically buds rails. And a budded rail is a rail that's powered without actually having a power source. This is the contraption I've designed. I press this button and it buds the rails. Place the block next to them, updates them and turns them off. And these 4 rails will also be budded because this redstone block is in the save stated chunk, and when the game removes it because it can't save it, these rails stay powered even when they shouldn't be. Now I'll just add a slime block here and some fire, and an end gateway is going to generate and replace this slime block. But just before that, I'm going to extinguish this fire and break the slime block in one action with a silk touch pickaxe, and that is what will make bedrock drop. But before we can do that, I need to get busy building a giant TNT lag machine. And with that, the entire bedrock farm is now complete. Still got a few spare items left over, so I'll drop them off in the chest. And since my elytra are nearly broken, if I go into here, grab those, and put them together, I can get a brand spanking new pair with them breaking too. There's so many empty shulker boxes left over. I'd love to fill them all with bedrock, but I don't think I'll have time for quite all of that. Instead, I'll craft a load more rockets, grab some ender pearls, and head over here. I could have also built a smaller TNT lag machine that puts TNT into lazy chunks, but then it would have taken the machine a lot longer to reset itself, so it wasn't really worth it, because it just would have made the farm too slow. So whilst in this chunk, I'm going to make my render distance 12, and then I'll wait for an autosave. I'll know this happens when the time on my computer, which is 6 minutes past 5, is the same as the date modified of the world save. See, it just changed there, because autosaves happen every 45 seconds. So I'm going to save state this chunk, and I'll also save state this one and that one. And that means that anything that happens in those 3 chunks now will not be saved, but anything I did before I pressed that button will still remain. And the farm is now ready for me to obtain bedrock. And this is a quick explanation of how the farm works. I throw my ender pearl upwards and it gets transported along, landing on this platform. Meanwhile, this machine produces a load of TNT, and in the same tick as the pearl lands, all this TNT explodes. This creates a lag spike, allowing me to be at the edge of my render distance without loading new chunks. I break this grass, which loads another chunk, then I extinguish the fire, which will instantly break the slime block at the same time with Silk Touch. Still in the same tick, this causes the budded rails to turn off, loading the chunk that spawns the end gateway, and the end gateway then spawns, and the game thinks that the broken slime is bedrock, making bedrock drop to the ground. So that's the explanation behind it. Let's see if it works. I've just got to wait for the autosave, which has just happened. So I throw the ender pearl, all that TNT's over there, fantastic, and the ender pearl's landed. Right, so I now need to break the grass, then I go like this, and in theory, yes! We got bedrock! We have got bedrock! Let me go and save state the chunk so that I can redo this. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, I've got bedrock in hardcore Minecraft. And from there, I can just fly back onto this platform, run backwards and forwards along the redstone blocks to properly unload the chunks. And then when the next autosave happens, which it just has, I can do it again. It is going to just reset itself and allow me to do it over and over again. I can stand in the fire because of the lag. We get the bedrock. We press that, we fly back, and all of it took me less than 30 seconds, meaning every 45 seconds, because that's when every autosave happens, I can get another piece of bedrock. It's just so renewable. It just works over and over again. It's fantastic. It's really, really easy. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think anyone has ever made a better farm for bedrock than this. Obviously, people have had different methods and stuff for getting it, but I think this is the best that anyone's done. But I could be wrong because there's a lot of clever Minecraft players out there. All I know is I'm going to get a lot of bedrock very, very fast, and I'm just going to keep doing it over and over again. And once I do this, it is going to get me bedrock piece number 10. And because I'm getting a piece of bedrock every 50 seconds, which is because the autosave is 45 seconds and there's about 5 seconds of lag as well, it means I get 6 pieces every 5 minutes. And in about 54 minutes, I can get a full stack. So I'm just going to keep going because that is exactly what I want. And in just less than 25 minutes, so it's actually a bit faster than I expected, I'm about to get piece number 32, which puts me halfway. So I should have a stack in less than 50 minutes. I think it's faster than my calculations because the autosave is happening roughly every 48 to 49 seconds rather than the 50 I said before. So yeah, that makes the farm even faster. And I have so far been using it at perfect efficiency. I want to continue to do that for the entire hour to see just how much it actually does get you in 1 hour of usage, because I have absolutely no idea what the result's going to be. 63 pieces, almost there. You also may notice that the durability of my pickaxe isn't really going down. It's gone down 14 points for this entire stack, so it's in no danger of breaking. And that is an entire stack of bedrock obtained in about 51 minutes. So yeah, I'm going to keep going for another 9 minutes and see how many I get in an hour. I do also think this farm could be made faster if it could be done in such a way where you could do 2 of them per autosave. I think with some optimizations to everything and maybe a bit more automation, it is definitely doable. But I'm happy with what I've got. However, if you do manage to get 2 per autosave, then as you might have guessed, the farm will become twice as fast. This is going to be the last piece of bedrock that I have a chance to get, which means after 1 hour, I have got a grand total of 74. Yes, this bedrock farm gets you 74 bedrock per hour. That is definitely not too shabby at all. Let's put these in the ender chest. And the other good thing about this farm as well is I could just fly over here and then save and quit, and I could just pick up where I left off later. Now, before I leave this farm, I need at least 2 stacks of bedrock for my factory. I feel like I've gone to all this effort, and if I only get 2 stacks, it's a bit of a letdown, so I'm just going to grab loads and loads of pearls. And I'm just going to spend a few hours doing the same thing over and over again. If I can get 3-4 stacks, I think I'll be happy at that point. It's very repetitive and very straightforward, which is crazy to think about when you remember how complicated of a farm this actually is. But anyway, I'm going to get busy and spend as much time as I can collecting up loads and loads of the bedrock. And at this point, I think this is going to be the last time that I do it. Or at least one of the last times. I've been doing it over and over and over again for quite a few hours. And at this point, my Elytra are pretty much broken. I don't want to keep going and end up falling in the void or something stupid because my Elytra break. I did also have like 3 other pairs in there. I've used all of them to repair it. I can't do any more. I should have brought leather, then I could have kept going. But unfortunately, I did not do that. So let's pick that up. We can pick up... I've had to use up a lot of gunpowder and a bit of paper for rockets. And you can see, not bad. 7 stacks, nearly 7.5. I can get 7.5. How about I get 2 more pieces? I think that's good. So that right there is 1 more. And that is all of them that I will ever get from this farm. It is the end of it. So I'm going to gather up all of the stuff and carefully put all of my bedrock into this shulker box. Wow, just look at it. My inventory and ender chest is full. So now I shall fly away from here. And that is that. I've successfully farmed bedrock, and even better, there's an end gateway right here that I'm not going to go through right now because I don't want to delete the chunks in my end base. But if I now upgrade my world back to 1.20, the end gateway's still there, and so is my bedrock. It really is quite insane. I'm going to go through this end gateway. Apparently, I've lost all my advancements. And, okay, well, my master plan to not lose my end hub almost worked, but I'm guessing if an item went through an end gateway, then it would load some of the chunks. So yeah, that's probably what happened here. At least it's still repairable. It's not the end of the world. And once I go through this portal, you'd think everything's broken. However, if I just save and quit and make the chunks no longer read-only, when I go back into the world, I'm now stuck underground, as you can tell. But if I kind of just dig my way out so that I'm not stuck, you'll see that everything is fine. Where are we? Inside the tree farm, apparently. But yeah, everything is still here. It actually feels really good to be back. And the journey for me to have bedrock in my hardcore world is officially over. I can even add it into the factory to make it rain bedrock, which in my opinion looks incredible. And I can also put down the first bedrock I've ever placed in this world, like so, to make it look like the laser is drilling into it, because bedrock is one of the blocks that a beacon beam can go through. Looks pretty cool. And I'd like to thank Raiseworks for answering a bunch of questions I had, and for his video where he obtained bedrock, and also Earth Computer for his videos and his world download that was very helpful, and also XCOM 6000 because he also made an explanation for it, which helped me learn a lot too. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of how I got bedrock. That's how my Elytra broke. Should just switch back to my good Elytra with mending on it. Anyway, that, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of how I got bedrock in my hardcore world.